Good afternoon, everyone. Happy New Year. It's great to be back at work, and I hope you all had a relaxing holiday and had some good time with friends and family and are ready to get back to work. I am here, it's January 3rd, but I'm leaving tomorrow for New York for the Association of Performing Arts Presenters Conference, and I'll be back next Wednesday. So before I left, there were a couple big items that came up that I wanted to address with you, and I thought this would be a good way to take those on. The first is the latest developments on the San Francisco Redevelopment Agency. You may have read in the paper that the Supreme Court of California did agree that the legislature does have the right and the ability to abolish the redevelopment agencies, and that they are in all likelihood going to go ahead and do that. It also struck down a second bill that the legislature had put forward that would allow redevelopment agencies to exist if they were willing to pay a certain amount of tax revenue to the state. So that seems, while nothing is over till it's over, and this could certainly become much more complicated than it already is, but that would seem to be the sign that the redevelopment agencies' days are over. And so obviously this has some impact on YBCA. Our position and our best interpretation of what we've been able to get from the legislature and from our conversations with the redevelopment agency is that the agency has designated us as what they call an enforceable obligation. In other words, a project that was undertaken previously that everybody agrees needs to continue to be funded and continue to be to its completion. We're a little bit of a strange entity in this way that we are not a construction project, which is what redevelopment agencies do. We were, but that's over. Nonetheless, we have this contract. It is a continuing contract till 2019 and renewable after that. So all of the signs are that we are an enforceable obligation, and that what needs to happen next is for this obligation, this contract essentially, to be assigned to someplace in the city. And that is the next step of the process that we're going to begin working on and that we're going to be focused on. But we are taking the position, as has the agency, that we are an entity that will continue, but we will be reporting to somebody else. We've done a couple things. We're getting ready to do a few things in anticipation of this. One is we've contacted a lawyer, and we are going to dig a little bit more deeply into the agreements itself in case something comes up that makes this problematic. And it's a legal contract, so there are implications that some of which we don't even know at this point. So we want to get some legal advice on that. And the second, of course, is the political side of this, which is to continue to advocate for YBCA as a vital part of San Francisco, an entity that needs to be retained in its current form. And we'll be laying some groundwork for that should we be in the position where we need to do advocacy work at the Board of Supervisors level or the mayoral level. So those are kind of the two trajectories that we're working on. But as I said, to the best of our knowledge at this point, it really appears as if we're an enforceable obligation, and it will be a matter of who in the city now takes on this obligation now that the redevelopment agency no longer exists. So Scott and Charles and I have met and discussed this. We will be pulling together a meeting of the redevelopment agency task force of the board to delve into the details of this a little bit more and begin to plan the strategy of some contingencies of the various things that could possibly occur over the next several weeks or months. The timeline is such that, according to the legislation, the agency is to be ended by February 1st, and is to start the process between February 1st and May 1st of assigning all these projects to someplace else in the city, and so by May 1st it would all be over. So it's all moving very quickly, and we'll just keep you posted on what's happening with that. The second thing I want to report on, which is on a much happier note, I'm happy to say, is the search for the Director of Performing Arts position, which we have concluded. We have made an offer, it has been accepted, and we're really thrilled and delighted that Mark Bamoudi Joseph is going to be joining us as the new Director of Performing Arts. As you know, those of you that participated in this, we had an extensive search. We had three very strong candidates, and in the end, any one of these candidates would have been a great addition to the staff here at YBCA and would have done this job extremely well. So it really came down for me to a matter of looking at the strengths and weaknesses of each candidate, seeing what they would bring to the organization, and ultimately making a decision about what I think is the best direction for the organization in the years ahead. And I really had to think sort of long term on this. We assume that this is a position that's going to be filled and stay filled in this way for some time. So this is a person who's going to have a pretty big impact on the organization. And again, while all three candidates had very, very qualified and strong strengths, in the end, I felt that Mark brought some things to the organization that we really needed and that would be healthy and good for YBCA and would really advance us. I think, first of all, Mark has a particularly unique perspective on performing arts and the contemporary performing arts. It doesn't necessarily match up with what you see at every other contemporary arts center in the country, although he's certainly knowledgeable about and committed to the artists who are sort of making that circuit of contemporary art centers. But he has a much larger vision than that, and it includes artists that are often left out of that particular piece of the contemporary arts center world. So I feel like that's a really strong, important part of YBCA and who we are and what we do. And I think Mark is going to bring a new perspective to the organization that it will be really healthy for us. As you know, we have a huge commitment to diverse points of view here. And I think having Mark's point of view in conversation with Betty Sue and with Joelle Tan and with Joel Shepard is really going to create a vital and vibrant mix of thoughts and opinions and ideas about the artistic trajectory of YBCA. And I think that's fantastic. I'm really happy about that. Another of Mark's real strengths is his deep relationship with the community. As you know, he's absolutely committed to the Bay Area. He's a Bay Area artist. He's been here for several years now. His work has toured all over the country, in the world actually, as a representative of a Bay Area artist. And in that process, he has relationships with community organizations, other arts organizations, other artists, that a candidate coming from outside of San Francisco would have a more difficult time. This is a tricky thing to think about because we both look inward and look outward at YBCA. We do look at San Francisco, but we also look at the rest of the world. So I want somebody who's fully grounded in the local community, but also has a larger national and international vision. And absolutely, Mark fits that bill to the T. As an artist, he has a national reputation. I'm sure you all know that. I think he will bring access to funders and donors in ways that the other candidates probably could not. And if you've met Mark personally, then you know that he's a highly charismatic, enthusiastic, extraordinary individual who I think will really be a powerful advocate for YBCA and all of the work that we do here. I know there has been some concern about, which I discussed with Mark at some length, about being an artist and moving from being an artist to being a curator, and this pretty significant career change. I am satisfied that Mark feels absolutely ready and committed to doing that. He is not using this job as a home base from which he can do his art. We've agreed that he has a touring schedule that goes through June, and we've agreed to a relationship that enables him to finish that touring schedule of his current work, which we premiered, Red, Black, and Green, the Blues. And after that, he is done with creating large-scale work and creating a similar project like this. He is fully and 100% committed to his job at YBCA. But at the same time, there's no point in bringing an artist onto the staff in a position like this and then forbidding them to participate as an artist or to do their art. So he and I have agreed that we'll take this on a case-by-case basis as it goes along. But again, his commitment is fully and completely to this job as Director of Performing Arts at YBCA. and sustaining that and really making this a strong program, even stronger than it already is. So I'm thrilled that he said yes. He will be at the Association of Performing Arts Presenters Conference, where one of his pieces, When Word Becomes Flesh, is performing, and also he's one of the keynote speakers at the conference. So it was important, both of us felt it was important that he have the chance to represent while he was there, that he's the Director of Performing Arts for YBCA. It will have a huge impact in the field, there's no doubt about that. I think people will be really excited and surprised and delighted at this decision, and I think it'll all accrue to the benefit of YBCA. He's not officially on the payroll until January 30th, and as I said, we've worked out an arrangement for the rest of his touring between for February, March, April, and May, and then after that, he's here completely full time. So I wanted to share that good news with you and tell you how delighted I am and really how good I feel about this decision. Those of you that are staff that are watching this, I know many of you participated in this process and gave me really good feedback about all three of the candidates, and that was very helpful in making this decision. As I said, not an easy decision, but I feel really confident that we've made the right choice here, and I'm very excited to have Mark on board. Today is Tuesday. We are coordinating the announcement of this hire with his former employer, Youth Speaks, who is going to send something out on Thursday. So they've simply asked if between now and Thursday, if we would just keep it to ourselves and not like post it on Twitter or Facebook or anything like that until after Thursday. Once we get back from Arts Presenters, obviously Kathy and Maureen will be working with Mark to develop a press release, because I think this will be pretty big news in San Francisco when it comes out. So we want to do that and jump into this right away. So those were the two things that I wanted to touch base with you about before I went away to New York. While I'm gone, Scott, Charles, and Kathy, and everyone else is here. If you have any questions about SFRA, you should feel free to call or email Scott. He's fully involved in the negotiations of what's going on and can answer whatever questions you have. So thanks very much. Again, Happy New Year. Hope you all had a great holiday, and looking forward to working with you in 2012. Thanks.